Right. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Hello, good to see everybody. Welcome. Ready to find a place to park. So we're just going to extend it into our bodies.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Sitting all the way down into the
Krishna,
earth,
Hare
all the
Hare,
way up.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
And extend
Hare
the
Krishna,
whole body.
Hare Krishna, Hare
Ancestors,
Krishna,
generation field.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Interconnection with traditions. Anticipating.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna,
Pure openness.
Hare Krishna, Hare
Having done that, we're
Krishna,
going to just do our little
Krishna,
ducking
Hare
practice that we've been
Hare,
practicing. And this
Hare
Tuesday we shall be sending
Rama,
out
Hare
from the
Rama,
Khandro Nyingti
Rama Rama, Hare
couple of pages
Hare.
on the practice of
Hare
the
Krishna,
practice of gnosis and the manifestation of different lights arising out of gnosis. Extend again.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna,
Then we're going to extend to the top of our head. Ma, space. Ma. Sometimes it's a little space, it's an E,
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Also for the water element, Bam. Bam is also a water element. So there's also the seeds of Dakini. Also calm is another symbol for the water. And the water element is considered the key element because of the
Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna.
And the syllables help us hold it, but it really goes beyond the within the syllables. It's like, let's extend half to each other.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
video save special events.
Hare Hare,
Goddess, the earth Aglamukti, in the Shaivite, same element, yellow. Sometimes the Hindus shift the order around the name, but so do the Docha. Pretty flexible system.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
And then we're going to extend from
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
releasing it.
Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
Green.
Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare.
Another way of working with the elements is the Dakini mantra. We started off with that this morning. Umahum Yana Dakini, direct perception as the Dakini.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Then you place Ma, so you place
Krishna
the two water
Krishna,
circles
Hare
on top of each other.
Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
The Dakini.
Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Three to the left, knee to the bottom, sa to the right, Maharini sa. Then we think city home. I want the cities. I want those
Hare
cities.
Krishna, Hare
City
Krishna,
Give me the cities.
Krishna Krishna,
Give 'em.
Hare
And then sometimes
Hare
the
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
We'll come back to our
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Stay in awareness for a little while.
Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna.
So sometimes on the top of the head, Ma, dark luminous, is called the Buddha Dakini, huh? Space, huh? Dharmakaya. And then Ha, white, called Vajra Dakini. Re, Ratna Dakini. Ni, red, Padma Dakini. Sa, green, Karma Dakini. And the Buddha Dakini here is the Dharmakaya. Vajra Dakini is Sambhogakaya. Okay, so water element. Ratna Dakini, earth element, will be Namanakaya. Sort of makes sense, doesn't it? Pamadakini is from Bhikakaya. That means the oneness of everything, the oneness of all the kayas, no difference. And Karmadakini actually is means the action of it. It's action, the accomplishment. Entering that, you can act from those places. Also, these 5 dakinis are the 5 elements. Or the kayas become more and more clear. And then also, they're the primordial wisdoms. But all these are simply qualities of our own awareness. So the Buddha Dakini is the wisdom of the Dharmadhatu. It means that this awareness permeates every situation. So you and I are always in it, in every situation, right? It's the path of appearance and the different dimensions of appearance. Appearing, apparitions, Sambhogakaya, pure openness, Dharmakaya. And so Buddha Dakini, to use that, Dharmadhatu, top. Vajra Dakini is the mirror-like primordial wisdom. That's Ha, water. That's our capacity for resonance. The exquisite mirror of resonance, the capacity to resonate. The Kurakule, she's the queen of resonance, okay? Even though she's red, okay? Ratna Dakini is the earth, is the intrinsicness of all this. This is completely intrinsic, and it's manifesting in us, completely intrinsic. It is our own in singularity. It is the bigness of being in singularity, okay? It is the light of awareness in singularity. In singularity. Huh? And Pamadakini is the capacity to penetrate and discriminate. So even though you're in gnosis, you can know your way around, okay? Karmadakini is the capacity of accomplishing activities. So a practice like the Vajrakalaya, pow, that cutting through stuff, the dagger, the symbolic dagger. Huh? Well, actually, if you practice, you start feeling like that after a while, a little boom. But it's the capacity to cut through or dissolve phenomena within yourself or in situations around you. That's the good side. The other side is, once it's dissolved, you have no idea what's going to take place next, okay? But it's a very powerful practice. And the only way to know it is to practice it and see what happens, huh? We don't really so much are concerned with visualization, 6 heads, 7 arms. You can do that sort of thing, but you want just to do it. You want to just enter into what you're using those practices like conduits, like iconic paintings, to help you open that and have that dimension come into you or arise out of you. So it's not the picture, it's not the story as such. That is simply a ritual, an enactment. It's a gesture. Just like we do all these little gestures, put it in the realm of gesture. And that gesture actually is useful. Just like mudras are useful. Gestures, this, or some of these things. They're all gestures. If you take them too real, you'll be reified and concretized and nothing will happen. It's sort of the intermediary experience. And then as you enter that, then that will help actually bring forth that quality in you, arising out of your own awareness. Sometimes at Namanakaya level, flesh, sometimes Sambhogakaya, sometimes Dharmakaya. I hope that's all making sense. So now we're going to talk more about the elements again. But let's stay in awareness with each other, or it really is burdensome. Okay? So, I'd just like to make a few statements, and some of this is from Longchenpa. So let's extend to it. The more we extend, the more we're really in the field, then the more our minds will be in the field, and then these words will feel to be in the field. So let's extend again. You extend to me, I extend to you. So, but we'll be getting back to the elements. Because these elements that we're focusing on are really Togao practices. They're Togao. You with me? All that gazing in the sky, gazing in the night, in the darkness of the room, gazing into the human face, gazing into the human body, gazing into the icons, all are working with the elements, okay? Mud is not the element we're working with, okay? Mud is actually a manifestation of all the elements. You follow me? This is very subtle, okay? Let's extend again. So, the central understanding or the focused experience is pure Gnostic awareness, direct perception. And this actually goes beyond causal conditioning or thinking and deliberate effort. So we make gestures, okay? Gnostic awareness, we're recording by chance, Michelle thing. Gnostic awareness takes us beyond the view of causality and mental effort. And so one is like entering into it and the other is surrendering to the primordial dynamics. A teeny bit of intentionality, as we've been talking about, suffuse experience, excess experience, but this is all about excess, right? Suffuse, what's the word? Saturation. Glug, 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 glug. Okay, so a little bit of intentionality, that gets to the background, then gnosis arises, more and more and more. Or intentionality is subsided or brought under gnosis. We can think about that too. That's useful for you guys. So whatever appears in gnosis does not stir from the original face of gnosis. So whatever appears in that innate awareness, when we're in awareness, that there's we know it. Whatever we experience within gnosis remains within the dimension of gnosis. Kind of like state-dependent knowing. When you're in it, you know it, and when you're not in it, you go, oh, what was that? Hey, what happened there? What was it? Oh, maybe it's nothing. Okay? So the field of gnosis and the framing of causality and the framing of moral condition, the framing through judgment are superseded. This is not easy for any of us, actually. Actually, I went to this empowerment this weekend, well, because it was there. Sort of go. It's a beautiful day. I'll try. Maybe my son's baby would be born. I wouldn't have to. But I went anyway. And it turned out being one fantastic, strange, but wonderful experience, all going beyond good taste. And the practice is fantastic. It's a fantastic practice. The Chagra Masavara. Yeah, it's very, very, really quite wonderful. I was really surprised how powerful the practice is. Anyway, but judgments are superseded and gone beyond into the natural perfection of the single, all-encompassing instant of translucidity, transparency, here and now through the doorway of timeless awareness. The translucidity of newness, new, arising, new, and dissolving. And then as a comment from the Sovereign Queen, I am thoughtless sky that is pure beingness and unthinking and pre-reflective. I take nothing and reject nothing. My non-judgmental mind is like space and is non-discriminatory spaciousness. I am non-discrimination. So in essence, at this level of perception, which is right here and now, there's no cause or effect, only manifestation coming forth. And that is, we can practice that. Rather than trying to at all times give an explanation, you just watch the manifestation. Okay, everybody okay with this? So now I'm just going to read a little quote from Martin Heidegger, who's one of my gurus, okay? Even though he's been accused of being a Nazi, there's a big battle right now in the Heidegger circle. Was he or wasn't he? Anyway, Freud's metapsychology is the application, you can forget about some of these words, this is philosophy, don't worry about it, Neo-Kantian philosophy to the human being. On one hand, he has the natural sciences, on the other hand, the Kantian theory of objectivity. For consciousness, human phenomena, he also postulates an unbroken chain of explanation. We have explanations for everything, okay? At least I do. There is this continuum of causal connection. And since there's no such thing as within consciousness from the Kantian point of view, there is no innate experience that's open throughout the world, okay? It's all through the mind in Kantian thinking, okay? Which is psychoanalytic thinking also. He has to invest the unconscious, so he creates the unconscious, in that there must be an unbroken change of causal connections, the unknown causal connections, okay? Just like some, the devil made us do it, the demons made me do it, the id made me do it. The postulate is the complete explanation of psychical life, whereby explanation, Erklären in German, and understanding, Verstehen. So explanation and understanding are identified. Just think about that in your life for a moment, how explanation and understanding are identified. Dzogchen cuts through this. Gnosis is not explanation. It's direct knowing. Okay? The postulate is not derived from psychical phenomena themselves, but as a postulate of modern natural science. This whole, okay. I miss that might be enough right there. Yeah. My thesis of the unfolding essence of the human being is the understanding of being, the beingness of being. I experience the unfolding essence of the human being from the understanding of the being. So he's saying, reverse it. And if you feel the beingness of being, you can understand human beings through perception, through knowingness, through intuition, what they sometimes call it. You guys follow that little thing? So again, in this frame, in the Longchenpa frame, you're trying to be without explanation at times. And you're watching what's manifesting. You're staying in the manifestation of appearance, because that will open up the multidimensionality from Gnosis, Sambhogakaya, and Nirmanakaya. Raise this, if your hands, if this makes some sense. Because if it doesn't, we're going to pause for a minute. Does this make sense for everybody? Okay. Great. We continue on. So in essence, there's no cause and effect, only manifestation, only coming forth, or the pause in not coming forth. You know? Everything is appearing and disappearing. Sometimes it appears and disappears, and then it appears and it disappears, and it comes back, and sometimes it just disappears. You know? But it disappears at different levels. What is appearing at Nirmanakaya level may not be disappearing at Sambhogakaya level. And what is disappearing at Sambhogakaya level is the Dharmakaya level. What it disappears at Nirmanakaya may not be disappearing at Sambhogakaya. What disappears at Sambhogakaya is Nirmanakaya. Okay? You can think about that. So total presence is like elemental space. And space has neither cause nor effect. So first of all, we're now starting to integrate the elements into this conversation. Everybody follow how we're starting to integrate the elements? Which is the light and the energy. Okay? So we're understanding we're going a step further, because this will take us into the difference between Treiko and Togao, whether sometimes you're cutting through or whether you're becoming the light itself. Okay? In certain traditions, there's only suchness. In the history of Buddhism and also in Vedanta and a lot of things, there's only emptiness or space. In some of these other traditions, the first samadhi is sometimes spaciousness. But the deeper samadhi is the samadhi of manifestation, which is the manifestation of radiance, both within and without. That takes the whole... You guys follow this story here? Our prejudice is radiance. Huh? We like radiance. We like the Vajra. We like the radiance. Okay? So the history of mostly all these meditation things, whatever it is, this will be the play between the samadhi of suchness and the samadhi of radiance. And that kind of says the whole thing, okay? Now, samsara, okay, total presence is like elemental space, and space has neither cause nor effect. Buddhahood is not realized through virtue. Now, a lot of people will disagree with this. You with me? But this is, again, this is Longchenpa saying, trying to bring forth the same understanding that Durjam Lingpa and the other texts I was using Do you mind me quoting texts a little bit? Is this okay with you guys? Trying to keep it illustrative. Now, if it could be realized by virtue, then the experience of your own natural, unconditioned completion would be a lie. So, it doesn't say virtue is not source. It doesn't say virtue is not enormously empowering. True virtue, you with me? But know that that is like a precondition, if you want to call it that, or a gesture. It helps open the possibility. It is not the possibility in and of itself, from the Dzogchen point of view. Everybody following this? And Padmasambhava himself says, though I'm as wide as the sky, I practice virtue in every detail. Okay? And that'll be part of that the text that Lama Lena Farrell will be giving when she comes on, this is an infomercial, on Saturday the 16th and half-day Sunday. And she's now carrying the lineage, so I really hope we all can go there. I really want to support her. You know, she's this wonderful person who's now carrying that lineage. Lama Wandor still has, but she's now carrying, which is a typical Lama Wandor thing. He just crosses over, deconstructs certain boundaries. Samsara is not precipitated by vice, and if evil doing could precipitate samsara, self-sprung awareness would be a lie. He's saying, I'm sorry, samsara is not here because you're a group of bad people, or Adam ate the apple through Eve. Okay, through you guys, okay? So that samsara is the natural manifestation as things arise out of the Dharmakaya, or the ground of being. Samsara, not knowing what's going on, bewilderment. The Dzogchen traditions, Mahamudra say, human beings are bewildered. They're neither bad nor good, but it's a bewildered group. They just don't know what's going on. You may have noticed that occasionally. So, but meanwhile, arising within that and around that is luminosity at the same time. So arising within you, within me, is luminosity and also bewilderment. And around this is bewilderment and luminosity. You guys following that way of thinking, okay? Now, everybody follow this last part? Samsara is not because of stupidity. It results in not knowing, but it's not a cause. It is not caused by not knowing. Raise your hands if that makes sense to you. You don't have to believe it, but this is why samsara and nirvana are actually in oneness all the time. Failing to recognize the completely perfect condition and yearning for, insisting upon objective positive experience, show me please, in this viewpoint results in the bewilderment of good and bad appearance that are intensely effective, so effective and sometimes disorganizing. In fact, there is no good or bad in pure awareness. So in the pure awareness, in Dharmakaya, there's no good or bad, It just isn't. But in dualistic experience, then this divergence does to arise. Since natural completion is beyond causality from the beginning, the experience of natural perfection, the natural completion, is at sometimes experienced in inaction or non-action or not by deliberate effort. This does not mean you cannot act, but you're acting from the place of timeless awareness. You're acting from the place of without action. Action in inaction. There's a double paradox here. You see, you're acting from transitional space, if you wish. So in that transitional place, sometimes there's no action. As you enter Sambhogakaya, there'll be action coming through you. Boom! We feel it rising in you, pushing you around, manifesting through you. And then comes action. And there's a lot of, because of this, in the Vajrayana traditions, okay, and in Kasmasheva's Swami Muktananda, knowledge is action. Also, knowledge is also non-action. But the capacity to owe both gives you liberation. It is not unlike the capacity of holding the masculine and feminine in your bodies at the same time. The androgynous experience is liberation from these points of view, when you feel both those dimensions. Instrumentality and gnosis. Now, if you get too little about this stuff, you're driving. These are all loose poetic metaphors. You with me? But so a practice like the Vajrakalaya. At one level, the Vajrakalaya, which is an energy, a deity, light, symbolized by the dagger. At one level, the Vajrakalaya is the Dharmakaya, pure awareness. At another level, it is the arising of this energy, fierce, non-cow-like. You with me? Intense. Not necessarily enraged at all, because you're trying to separate fierceness from the frustration of rage, which most people don't do. You with me? There's no frustration in the Vajrakalaya. You with me? But certain aspects of self cannot be integrated so easily. So the Vajrakalaya cuts through that. You with me? In certain situations, it dissolves action. You follow what I mean, okay? So it manifests in the Manakaya level. Okay, now, we'll go over that a little later, okay? Okay. The surge, again, that favorite word here, the surge of the non-contingent spontaneity must be intuited and must be experienced directly. So, say when we were going through that Saturn-Sun thing was going on for the past 2.5 months, rather intense, and it's still lingering back, it's still having some effect right now, okay? Very, very intense. Moves people in, moves people out, all sorts of things take place. To experience that, you want to experience the surge. It's like experiencing the energy coming at you. You with me? You want to experience it, whether you call it intuitively or direct perceptively. Longchenpa says that is the essence of sadhana. That is the essence of the whole thing, is your capacity to lean into what's happening, to lean into the manifestation of appearances within and without. Dharma is your karma manifesting. It is the elements manifesting in you as you. Raise your hands if this is making. Because we want to go more to a refined work of being able to work with the elements for yourself and other people. Comprend? Okay. He says, when I talk about self-sprung awareness, I mean the unceasing awareness that encompasses everything, that unique awareness that has no cause and yet produces everything. Underlying that, it is the manifestation of the elements, arising, the light arising. And it manifests everything. There is no other source. Pure awareness cannot be produced by any cause, does not place it in a temporal index alone. It's manifesting in time, from outside of time, coming into time right at this moment. So in this way, we're always in timeless awareness. In a certain way, there is no past, no future. It's only really now. Okay? Pure awareness is not a product of any condition. Excellence resides only in the timeless self-sprung awareness. Let's feel that just for a minute. We can end. Let's lean into each other and feel that. Let's lean into each other and feel timeless awareness. Say yes if you can feel that. And yet this self-sprung awareness manifests time and the unfolding of time and geometrical space. So it's manifesting the space between you and I right now. Because of that, at a certain level, there is no space between you and I. Say yes if you understand that. Though the manifestation, it manifests space. Because it's manifesting space, there is no space between us at the level of the moment before manifestation. That's when you're in timeless awareness. This is not far away. This is not far away. This is not far away. Are you feeling timeless awareness right now? Say yes if you are. Huh? You want to stay conscious. You want to stay natural. You can be in a samadhi thing, but not being in a trance state. Samadhi is not. Some samadhis are trance. They're useful up to a point, but you will not have clarity. And you will not be experiencing the appearance of Namanikaya. Simply resting without artifice in natural gnosis, you and I are participating as and in the dynamics of all the Buddhas past, present, and future. Just resting without artifice in natural awareness. Let's just do that. So I'm going to have Jan sit in the middle if you don't mind. I'm going to do some of this again. Michelle, you feeling healthy today, hon? You want to sit in the middle right there? And Steve, you feeling healthy? Okay, would you mind sitting over there? Just we're going to have some space. You're all just going to stay space, just like we did a couple of weeks ago. You're going to sit a little further back, a little further over that way. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get everybody to see you all. You're going to turn left, hon. You're going to turn that way. We're not making a triangle. Remember we did a couple of weeks ago? Okay, with faith. Yeah, is your back okay? Okay, then we're going to retire you then. Okay. Would you mind sitting in the middle there? Okay. Just for right now. Okay, let's put more space between the ladies. More space. Okay, now we're going to lean into Jan. And then from Jan, we're going to lean into Michelle. So we're not leaving Jan. And then from Michelle, we're going to lean into Carol. We're not leaving Jan or Michelle. What happens as we do that? Someone mind describing? The space gets bigger, right? Bigger space. Okay. Let's lean further into Jan, into Michelle, into Carol. Can you feel the timeless awareness in those three people at the same time? And you're going to open that microphone up if you don't mind, Stephen. Yeah. Can you feel the timeless awareness? Say yes if you can. Okay. Would you pass that to Amy? I'm sorry if you don't mind. Just pass the microphone to Amy. Amy, what's that like? We're all going to stay in awareness. We really want to be able to speak and hear. You just want to be able to speak and hear. You want your mind in the field of awareness. What's that like for you, hon?
When I lean into each one of them, the space between them and me expands.
Expands, yes. This is the opposite of solipsistic states, okay? Certain samadhi states are completely solipsistic, okay? This is cuts through solipsism. It cuts through. They're very wonderful people who have very huge fields of awareness. And then that awareness gets caught in their mind. And their mind, your mind is so unprepared for that, it speeds up to 1,000 times a second. That is not useful for you. You with me? And everybody will be working with people like that who have big fields. But those big fields get caught in that little tiny mind. And it starts to burn the mind out. You with me? Into exhaustive states. Is that making sense what I'm saying? Okay? And yet people have greater, not everybody. Some people have little limpid, weak awareness. But people who have powerful awareness that's locked in their mind. They can be brilliant, but trapped in solipsistic places. You with me? Now. Some Asperger people are like that, okay? From this phenomenon. Not everybody, okay? Now, failing to recognize, and we're going to stay in extension and releasing to the three people in front of us. I'm doing this because it keeps it a little bit more focused. Failing to recognize, okay, I'm sorry. Simply resting without artifice in natural gnosis, we're participating as and in the dynamics of the Buddha past, present, and future. Let's lean into these three people again. Let's release into them the elements now. Ma, but from the level of the energy. Ha, Ri, Ni. Sa. Do it rather specific. Really do it into singularity. Buddhahood is perfected spontaneously without effort, resting and abiding in a thoughtless state of natural gnosis. Experiencing the uncontrived nature of awareness is essence. Becoming the field as the kayas. So first, it really is useful to practice meditation. Okay? To practice formal meditation, in my little book, and mostly every Lama I've ever heard says it's really necessary to practice formal meditation. It is really useful to be in a thought-free state, okay? It is really useful to have the spacious element down and then integrating into that spacious, integrating the other elements, to use this language, into that. You guys follow? A formal meditation is really, really useful. It is not that you cannot be in meditative awareness in every place else. But high masters meditate. You with me? On this topic, there's self-deception. Okay? I'm talking a little dramatically strong. Okay? So formal meditation where you sit in order to be in that the kayas can really manifest in you. You with me? And at that point, you're in a state of non-action. Okay? Everybody follow what I'm saying? So you can spend a lot of money. You can go to a lot of things. They can really be entertaining. But if you don't actually practice on a regular basis, not for 10 minutes, it has to be a period of time. Because if you meditate like for an hour, you will feel certain phases you go through like clockwork. Boom, 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 boom. Okay? Now, all events are pure awareness, okay? But no correctness of judgment will be of help. This event is not the truth of judgment, but aletheia. So it's not the judgment. It's being it's not the adequation of what my mind thinks with what reality is. Okay, I just erased my previous statement. Okay. So aletheia is really the manifestation that you're experiencing and is appearing at her different levels. And sometimes it'll be the human face. And sometimes it'll be just the wind and the worlds of the energy. Or you might have the good fortune of seeing the manifestation of the divinities, okay? And sometimes it's just pure, open, luminous darkness, whether your eyes are open or not. You guys follow this? Okay? Or sometimes it is the appearance of the elements. So the elements start to appear. And they start to appear if you're sky gazing, and you, like we did that one time, remember that day, we'll maybe do it again, it gets warmer. This is actually a preparation for gazing. And you see all the tiglays and the energies and the light. That is the elements appearing out of, that is the Dharmakaya manifesting herself at this point. Are you with me? And you're seeing them, but you're seeing the light of your own awareness manifesting. It's not the light of your mind. It's light of the awareness manifesting, that you can experience it directly through gnosis and even through your eyes, your human mind. That is Nirmanakaya realization. And then you, as you're gazing, sometimes it may feel outside of you, but you become the appearance of the light. The light is actually manifesting out of you, but like most things, it's a step-by-step process. So as you're gazing, you're in a little line posture, and you're looking into one of the people's faces here, and you start seeing the light. You are becoming the light. And if someone is seeing that light in you through recognition, you are becoming the light through recognition. Everybody follow those statements? Yes. Okay? Yes. Hopefully so. Now, The three Gnostic dimensions are not mind-constructed. So when the sutra teacher of the three dimensions described the notion of contriving the three dimensions, which we really try not to do much of. We don't do a lot of contrivance, visualization, or imagination. We kind of put, because that locates us in the imaginative function. We don't do that much. Because we don't have to. Because we have the support of innate awareness. That's our confidence, okay? But some people, they really should do it. This is not a snobby thing. It's just the way things roll out. You with me? This fits for some people, and some people can't stand it and doesn't fit for them. That's how it works, right? Everybody follow what I'm saying? Now, it is clear that the teacher who is speaking about possessing the three bodies is not the teacher who is experiencing the nature of awareness as the nature of awareness. So, when a teacher speaks about developing the three dimensions, this is only a provisional teaching. This is a Buddhist thing here. But it's not the definitive experience of direct perception of aletheia, the beingness of being. We like to leap in and just experience. With our eyes open or our eyes closed, we're going for direct perception because we have the empowerments, and we have great teachers and things like that. You guys follow what I'm saying here? Okay. So what that means, when you're seeing those tiglays, that is not a contrived thing. You are seeing the manifestation of the light in the field, as the field manifesting to you, as the field is manifesting through you both inside and outside. And so part of the experience, first it may seem outside. I'm looking at Michelle and I see the light in her body. I feel it. But that really is the light that is arising between me and her, and I am becoming the light as I see it in her through appearance. And as I see it in her, I'm also experiencing it in me, and that's I am now becoming the elements. I am becoming the elements. I am becoming the elements. Right? I am becoming the elements. And then, as we become the elements, we can also have the benefit of extending the elements and releasing the elements, which can be good not only for us and our body and our environment, but other people. With me? Because the elements aren't always balanced in everybody, including yours truly. Okay? Everybody follow where we're going? Raise your hands. If I really lets me know, because I don't want to leave everybody behind here and then suddenly. So let's all stay awake a little bit. So now we're going to talk about surrendering to the Buddha dynamic. Okay? Buddha's not a guy. Resting in the free and easy nature of awareness, planning nothing, analyzing nothing, surrendering to pristine awareness, no mind, remaining pure gnosis, pure beingness of being, superseding causality and moral discrimination, the judgments of right and wrong, good and evil, better and best, and truth and falsity. You want to be able to do that. That will acquire, at times, you just sitting as free as you can for a particular time and period in timeless awareness. As you get good at that, when the time is up, you will not leave it. You will get up and walk in that state. Okay? That's the whole story. You do not leave it. And then as you get up, you're integrating your mind, you're integrating the steps, you're integrating the light, you're integrating in the field primordial phenomena, the karma that is yours. That karma is yours. The day you've got today, that's your karma. That is it. That is the manifestation of primordial awareness in color and in sound. That is the manifestation of primordial awareness as the elements. You with me? As Sambhogakaya, if you have that, and definitely as Nirmanakaya. You with me? That is the elements. And so sometimes by just focusing on the elements, as the Dakini, which is gnosis, the manifestation of gnosis, then you are dharmic. You don't have to go any place, do anything. It is showing up for you. It is manifesting both in you and around you. So even the affects that are manifest around you in the manifestation of the appearance, that affect is part of the configuration of that moment. You with me? That is why you feel that feeling in the awareness, and you are liberating that energy. Very important, right? That is why the affects that are corresponding or even not corresponding to the immediacy of the situation is also, there's that person, oh gee, there is that affects, right? You hold everything in awareness. And the more you have connection to the Dharma Dhatu, that base of the innate awareness, talking in a bit of in a skillful means, the more easy it is to sustain the Nirmanakaya manifestation. Period. That's it. Okay? Yes, okay. So herein, in the pellucid is like loosely light, pellucid, like a watery light, natural clarity, brilliant shining spaciousness or emptiness, the timeless uniform oneness of luminosity. The uncontrived, uncontaminated space is uniform in its natural flow, immaculate in its natural transparency, at ease, you can just feel that possibility, in its natural freedom, pellucid in its natural purity, relaxed in its natural disposition, and the doors of the senses are wide open. Nirmanakaya, Dzogchen. You with me? So sometimes you're in sleep-like states. That's very useful. But it's not always useful. So sometimes you go into deep sleep. You go in tundra states. You're in a deep sleep state, but you're awake in that state. That is useful. But so this is not concrete operation. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work in a cue ball thing or in a pool table frame. And sometimes you're wide open. Your senses are wide open. Every sense is open. And that is luminosity in the Nirmanakaya level. Realization. You guys follow this? The doors of the senses are held wide open in the constant state of awe. Yum, yum. Okay? In this vast matrix of open space, the mind tries to hold on to linear progression. The past and present and future is broken. And the equilibrium, we rest in this naked, unthinking, indeterminate reality. And that is really where to rest in indeterminate, unformulated experience. As it's formulating in the present, you with me? As it's formulating out of our experience. There's enough of the mind integrated, deeply felt within our body, within our chest, within our breast, within our navel, within our lower centers, within our thighs, inner thighs, that what is arising can be experienced in its initial unformulatedness, but staying with the experience, there's some formulation will take place without the imposing of the map of the mind on it. That is liberation. That is the tough part. Staying in the indeterminate reality. But it's also the place of freedom. Freedom is never completely in reality, even Winnicott. If I'm totally located in reality, if I'm totally located in fantasy, so many people are lost in phantasmagoria. In this world, fantasy. PR, advertising, fantasy. No freedom there. No freedom if you're located in thinking. No freedom there. You're free if you're in the unformulated space. Then there's some possibility. Everybody doing okay with this? Yeah. That's really one of the great things about the crash of the stock market. If you have a little bit of can really enjoy that story a little bit, right? all the predictability, statistics, guaranteed, even vast sums of money, totally wiped out. Now, there's a part of that can give you extreme amount of jouissance. You with me? Not for other people, but just in terms of, wow, this really is an unpredictable place. You with me? And no matter how much we try, prediction only goes so far. Now, okay? So through the depths, almost done everybody. Through the depths of clarity, brilliant spaciousness, all suffusing. So it suffuses our body and our mind. And so it's really great sometimes to go on the nod. It's really necessary to go on the nod. It's necessary to find yourself in this space. But also it's useful not always to be there and to integrate the power that's being manifested in you. You with me? I will tell you a brief story. I'll entertain you. When Yenchen was here, okay, who I love a lot, who gave all those of us who knew him a vast amount of experience. So we had this big talk. He was coming, 800, 900 people at the Marriott out in Rockville. And he's going to give this talk. And we had all these Qigong masters. So the first 2 or 3 rows had all these Qigong masters. Where, dang, all these different Qigong masters come to see. So then I had the privilege of giving a little introduction on the Sea of Qi. Of course, typically in my own way, I got in a fight before because they wanted me to give personal experiences, Mr. Sung. And I don't really do that in a certain sort of way. Like salvific moments, and then you confess that you were saved that way. You've seen this 1,000 times. And so everybody said, what? You're not going to share anything? No, I'd like to talk about what I know, though. Haven't you had any experiences? Nah, none. So it was like, okay. They said, well, we don't know if you can go up there. And I had all these people in my... I said, well, I'm not going then. I'm not going to do this. You with me? I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to give a evangelical moment, Okay? Which is very Chinese. They do that, little Mao books, okay? So it came up, okay, I'm going to give the talk. So I go, I'm giving this talk, which I actually like giving this talk a lot, on the Sea of Qi, which as soon as he arrives, the Sea of Qi arrives and all this light to all these people. And my brother was there, and my nephew at this time had a tumor. So they came up from Louisiana, and for some of my brothers, this is not their cup of tea, They're experts in the Civil War. They're great. They really know all this. They're great. They're a lot of fun and things, But, so they're up there out of total good faith, And I always take people's good faith very seriously, in whatever tradition it is, okay? I really take good people's faith totally seriously. So, here comes Yenchen, and Yenchen comes up, and there's the Chinese ambassador. Immaculate little Chinese suit on, okay? And so Yenchen comes up and he starts drinking gallons of water. I've never seen him go clunk, clunk, clunk. And he looks a little nervous. This is Yenchen. And suddenly he turns into a warrior. And he goes into all the... And all this chi is just hitting everybody. Anybody was there? Anybody was there? All this. We had just bombed the Chinese embassy 2 weeks before, okay? All the Chinese. And he's going, wait a minute. And he's also the Falun Gong acting up. So he was really doing a very necessary, I could understand his part, necessary political thing. But I'm sitting there, all these people are there, my family's there, and I'm now getting really pissed off, okay? So the energy's coming like fire. So I knew this was an opportunity, okay? But it's not an opportunity to become a cow or become a sheep, with me? Then put your ass up, okay? With as much as I could bear, I focused on him and start saying very nasty things. And then all of a sudden, what came into my mind in clarity was Born in the US of A. by Springfield. So I am chanting this to myself, looking at him, Born in the US of A. What the fuck is going on here? You with me? I'm meeting fire with fire. Now, I went into this because the energy is getting pretty heavy, and I'm starting to conk out. And I'm seeing people conking out around me. Just conking out. And I said to myself, I'll be damned. I'm not going to conk out. Now, that was really useful for me at that moment, to enter that fire again, meeting it as much as I could with fire. You with me? Meeting that element of fire, which was really smoking that day. Born in America. I forget the words now, but it came up totally naturally. Maybe I'll play it today. Now, then he stops at a certain point. And it really was a heavy, heavy moment. But I am really now cooking with light, okay? So this was a moment for me of karma and dharma, okay? So then he stops the talk, and then he reframes. He says, okay, now that part of the talk is over. He drinks more water, and then he comes back again and gives this most fantastic talk on conflict and the necessity of conflict and the fire and how to work with the fire element in this world. You with me? How not to be destroyed by it. You with me? How to use it. How to work it. How to cut through what has to be cut through. How nothing is unbearable. Never think anything is unbearable. And do not give up being a warrior. No matter, not a warrior, but a warrior. You with me? And how the Qigong lineage is a warrior lineage. You with me? And what that means to confront. And in those confrontations, everything can be given to you. Right? Great, great moment. Really great moment. So after that, it's over with. So I write him a nasty letter anyway. Okay? In the same thing. Wait a minute. What took place? All these people are here. Basic faith. Blah, 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 blah. You know. So I asked him, but we'd like to have another workshop. Okay. Then he came and gave us another workshop. It was really a small one. But then a few weeks later, I asked my brother, how was that? And he says, I don't know. He says, it was really, really strange. He says, but so-and-so's, we went back, they had an x-ray, has disappeared. And I spoke to my little nephew, who I still love very much, and I asked him, well, what did this is why he was there. I said, well, what took place? He said, I don't know. It was really weird, Uncle Rudy. He says, but this big flash of light hit me, you know? Totally cool. So I love this story because I like the results a lot, okay? So don't go to sleep too much, okay? So we're almost done with the elements, but we're talking about the elements, okay? So brilliant emptiness, all-pervading field of light, unorganized by ideation, unorganized by memory, purified, free of any structure or constructed elaboration, all-inclusive, empty like the sky, pure, it is utterly beyond indication or signification. Signifiers do not work here. They don't work. The signification realm doesn't work at times when you're really in it. Okay? Intrinsic gnosis is congruous with spaciousness or emptiness and the thoughtless dimension. And it is experienced along with the oneness of compassion. So all this goes together. Compassion, hung, the bodhicitta. So the mantra hung, Oma hung, combines compassion, it combines the space, and it combines the radiance of light. That's why hung and hum is a central mantra in this whole thing. Hum, H-U-M, or H-U-N-G. Hung, hum, hum, combines that. Everybody doing okay with this conversation right now? Almost done. Okay, I'm going to skip a few things. So sky-like identity is original, timeless purity. Pure being is indeterminate, without any motivation, a vast super expanse, without outside and inside, and the expansive reality is this free, boundless, without substance. The visionary experience of brilliant spaciousness, of pristine awareness, gradually increases. It means you start getting more visionary experiences. And finally, all the particles of matter, gross and subtle, break apart and, like mist, evaporating corporeality. This means you feel your body dissolving, which many of you guys are feeling already. Are you feeling your bodies dissolving? Great. So the dissolving of material reality dissolves. This reaches the point of surrender. So at some point you're just surrendering. Someone asked me this morning, should she surrender? He surrendered. They feel this break. Yeah, that's where you surrender. Okay? It's like the vase. Different levels of the vase is breaking. There's only the light arising. Okay. Okay. So you're surrendering to alpha purity of the Gnostic pure beingness of being. And then we have consumed or consummated ourselves into the natural state. So you feel yourself in the dissolving being consummated into the natural state. Okay? Consummated into the natural state. That's also sometimes why they use the male-female indicators, just as a symbol. Now, under-directed, remaining in the natural state, all the articulation of pure awareness appears as manifest understanding in each intellect. So you do get understanding. It arises naturally, and then your intellect understands it after the fact, even without that person having learned it. So most of these things we know naturally, and they're simply pointed out, even like some of those little things. So through familiarity with this understanding, now unmanifest and non-conceptual, all the appearances begin to dissolve by themselves, and holistic transparency or pattern of the empty brilliance. So things start disappearing into the luminous. That's the fourth vision. Everything starts to disappear into the luminous darkness. The four elements, earth, water, fire, and air, begin to disappear. The potentialities of each, unmanifest, dissolve like mist evaporating in the morning sky, illuminated being and embodied being are similar in oneness. So what he's saying here now, as things start to dissolve, you can actually experience at times water, earth dissolving into water, water dissolving into fire, fire dissolving into wind, wind dissolving into the apprehending consciousness, that's you as subject, and that then dissolving into pure light. Is that making sense what I'm saying for everybody? So you can feel, now this happens both when you die, but it also happens if you have a practice of where you can sit, this dissolving also takes place. In the dissolving, fear does arise. Fear must arise, okay? And you actually integrate that fear into, because as the elements dissolve, you will feel as if you're dying, okay? That's just the way it is, okay? Now, so now we're going to talk one more thing about the difference between integration and dissolving into the elements, which is the difference, I hope this is not too technical, between when you're using cutting through techniques and when you're using Togao techniques. Raise your hands if this is making some sense. Okay, everybody's okay with this? Whereas in cutting through, the body of light does not necessarily appear. We actually do that. We use cutting through, we combine these things a lot, okay? In jumping through, in Togao, you make that leap into the light. The body of light allows uninterrupted metamorphosis. There's no distinction, however, in the manner of release into the natural state of alpha purity. So both of these go into, we can enter it right now, timeless awareness. Why do I do this? Why do we do this in groups? Because two awarenesses are better than one. 10 awarenesses are better than 2. That's just the way it works. The more that everybody does it, the better I get. This is just the truth. Okay? So let's enter the timeless awareness. That is a Traco moment. That is cutting through. Now we're in timeless awareness. Then you can integrate your mind into that. We're integrating right now your body. Everybody follow? Let's integrate back the room, back into. This approach allows the yogis to overcome everything through the suffusing radiance and to resolve causing conditioning in this lifetime. In the interior spaciousness of reality, the delusion of causality is destroyed. Another way of saying it, as we just keep integrating everything into awareness, we're not so caught on explanations like we were as Heidegger so eloquently described Freud's theories. In other words, our psychologizing of ourself starts to disappear. Is psychology useful? Completely useful. Is psychology necessary? Completely necessary. Does psychology dissolve at a point? Yes. A-okay with this? Almost done. So to realize self-sprung awareness alone is direct realization. So if we can just stay in this awareness, self-sprung awareness becomes our own. Almost done. Sorry to take so long. Okay. So then he says this. Ho, this vast brilliance manifests pristine awareness. Okay, anyway. Now, but he does not now want to go into. Okay. Okay. For us, we want the body of light to manifest also. That's why we're focusing on the elements. That's why we like gazing so much. So if I'm gazing into Sephora, I'm gazing with my eyes and my whole body. I'm feeling the posture. I'm feeling the lower body connected into the earth element. I'm feeling my body. I'm feeling the tent. I'm feeling all these little things we do to gaze. And then in that gazing, the light arises. It comes through the channels of the eyes. And then we can start to see the light, seeing the light. You with me? Or if I'm gazing at night in the darkness, and there we see the light shooting, and see the vortexes, we lean into that, okay? Or if we're doing sky gazing, we lean into the sky gazing. We like gazing here. We've had tremendous empowerments, the empowerment at Heidi's house with gazing, the empowerment here. We've had sublime empowerments. We've had the Gabe Dorje empowerments. You with me? We've had a lot of different. We've had Dakini empowerments, which is Gnosis herself, and we're holding the elements because the elements are manifesting for us more and more. So we're going a little bit further in the refinement of perception that we can get a little clearer on feeling the earth element. Yellow goddess, Bhagna Mukti. You with me? Very important, right? Most of us here have a propensity for light. That's how you wind up here, okay? And most of us are a little weak on the earth element. You with me? This is just true, okay? So that's why sometimes having some yagnas is really helpful, okay? So we're focusing on the earth element. We focus on the lower chakras into the ground. You with me? And then we also can feel into each other. We can feel the elements. We can release elements, and we can extend the elements. We can strengthen the elements. Every time we lean into a person, I consider that a Togo practice. Because if we're leaning in or passing through, the light is meeting the light, the column of light is meeting the light. So now I'm giving you a little explanation. So many of the practices that we do, the 21 little practices, whatever those practices are, what they call the handbook, are ultimately, for the most part, gazing practices. But gazing in a very human relational context. Gazing into the human heart. Okay? That is really not necessarily a cutting through practice. Is this making sense how I'm framing this? So these are Togyo practices, relational practices, because I haven't seen this guy in a couple of months, But that doesn't foreclose any of this. You with me? This is a contemporary way of doing this gazing stuff. But we're surrounded by human faces all the time. Is the human face infinite? The human face is a completely infinite phenomena. You can, if you try and objectify a human face, it can lose the dimensionality, and you will be in an unhappy land. If you wind up not objectifying the human face and the human body. The human body itself is a vehicle into luminosity. Huh? Now, in the old tantric texts, they use sexuality a lot to try and attain the same experience. You with me? But that caused a lot of problems. You with me? Now, especially if you're a woman. You with me? And if you happen to be, because the political stuff is always, make no mistake about it, always was, always has been, and always will be. You with me? So especially the group institutionalized forms of things can cause ramifications throughout cultures. You with me? And ramifications for individuals. You with me? So this is why that type of practice, as in that form, has disappeared or is disappearing. Not all the place. You go into Bhutan, things like that. But there was a power in that in terms of luminosity. Guarantee you, 100%. And in a private life, that can still work. You with me? But where you're institutionalizing, the asymmetricalness, and I'm going to borrow your girlfriend or your wife as the leader, this causes difficulties, psychological difficulties. Not just here, but there. If you read, there's a paper by Sarah Caldwell, and she's from the University of Chicago. And of course, my mind's going blank. There's a fantastic woman scholar there. In the East, huh? No, Anne Klein. This is a person in the religious department, huh? No, anyway, I will bring that next week. But she has they brought all this from the mythology up in terms of Shaivism and Buddhism and investigated this sort of experience. They investigated it with Swami Muktananda and the whole story in Siddha Yoga and many, many places. What happens when tantric masters come here and find themselves in another culture? You with me? And it's disappearing around them in their own cultures. You with me? Sarah Caldwell, okay? I will bring these, I'll show you these papers. They're really useful in terms of what works and doesn't work. This doesn't foreclose the power of oneness between people, does it? It doesn't foreclose the power of transmission of the light. You're not puzzled, are you? Okay. It doesn't foreclose the use, the natural relational life of the light. It doesn't foreclose Togel practices in a human form. You guys follow what I'm saying? Okay. So some of this came from that wonderful tantric practice I did in the weekend. But also to understand why gazing and why the columns meet. You with me? The column of light meets. Yes, please.
You mentioned this weekend in the column of light. At one point, he said you're going to do the fifth empowerment into the fifth kaya. And he used the terminology of there's a
You can talk in the microphone, please.
over the weekend during the empowerment, at one point, as the empowerment was going on, he said we are going to enter into the fifth kaya. This is the fifth part of the empowerment. We are going to go beyond. And he used the term Sambhogakaya, I believe.
Sambhogakaya.
Yes. And he talked about this co-emergence,
Perfecto.
arising of the light into the nada point.
Yes.
And that was the last empowerment.
Yes.
And the next day, I think for the second half of the day you had gone, he went back to this co-emergent to the nada point. The quality of his energy shifted when he got into this nada point. And they did not translate this. What is this?
The nada point, from my point of view, is the galactic center of our universe. What? The nada point is the galactic center of the universe. The nada point is a particular nas chakra which opens the galactic center. including the Brotherhood of the Light. So it is a galactic center. Nada actually means sound. You with me? The nada. But in this particular, the co-emergent light, the column that is infinite, down, earth, but you need a certain type of circumstances to have it actually open. It's not, the circumstances don't cause it. The nada point is the galactic point. That is where the divine light manifests this particular universe. I'm so glad you asked that. The fierce cosmic. Yes, his eyes got big and open.
The eyes would become big, and you could see light around him. I could visibly see.
Yes. When the
this
eyes get big
light.
like that, that yogi is entering into the nada point, the galactic point, and so and that's the transmission. So most Muktananda
I
used to do
had
that.
never seen a person, a teacher, meditate in that way,
yes.
be in that depth of meditation, and his body would elongate,
Elongated body.
and the eyes would just.
The eyes get big,
Yeah.
big, vibrant, and you have to hold. It's a little scary. Like,
Yes.
it's great.
Yes.
Cool. I'm really glad you asked that. Luminosity. Okay, everybody's following this conversation today about fire. Ni, Maharin, Ni, fire element. This is the path of fire. Just like the Sufis at times are the path of fire. Everybody okay with this? Thank you so much. So let's hold awareness together, and then we'll, you know what we're going to do? Let's leave our three people here, and then someone who feels really, would you sit, because you did that morning, yeah, right in the middle. Okay. So we're going to use you're going to sit in the middle. You feeling healthy? You're just going to sit over there in front of that group. Yeah. Okay. So we're using individuals in the whole group. Is this okay? You feeling okay? Everybody feeling healthy? Okay. Now let's just sit here. Thanks. You can see all the ladies on there too? So let's just hold awareness. The nada point, the galactic point, the opening where the light comes into this place. And there's certain moments when it's more attuned than others. Are you with me? What we went in, from my experience, we went into 3 kayas at the same time, okay? And I knew, which is the 4th kaya, is where you experience all the kayas at the same time, okay? But that 5th kaya could have opened also because of the empowerment that was given, okay? You with me? So, but the 4th kaya is you actually experience all at the same time. The 5th kaya will be that galactic point opening. That could. You follow what I'm saying? It's so stunning, so wild. Okay? And being with Baba was really great because he would often use that. Not often, but when that would take place, it was an extraordinary transmission for everybody. And the month before he died, he would do that a lot. He knew he was dying. He knew he was going. So he would come every day, and there'd be hundreds of people in this little hall, and he'd just come just like he was like wild. It is wild, and it really is fierce. It is wild. It is like one of these deities, kind of wild, let loose, and on fire. So we'll hold awareness now, okay? And extend to each other. Let's extend to the 4 ladies in the middle. And anybody could be here, but we're just using them right now functionally. So all our Dakinis here. I'm going to ask them to open their eyes and hold the awareness state and gaze into us. I want you to gaze into their gaze, if you guys don't mind. Then you guys gaze into us over here. And we'll hold the gaze. If you want to enter a line posture, if you need a little more lower energy coming up, you can. And we're gazing into the gaze, but you're gazing into a person. So Michelle, would you mind gazing into me, hon, if you don't mind? So there's a brazenness you have to enter into. There's a fierceness. It has nothing to do with anger. You enter into. It arises through the Sambhogakaya level into Nirmanakaya. Sometimes things will disappear. Okay, I want everybody to open your eyes and gaze into another person. And as you described, it was really useful. As you gaze, you extend through with your entire being. And it passes a phase where it's extremely, it's pure Ghatik. It's very totally pure. It ultimately results in fearlessness. The fearlessness that's beyond fierceness. And then you're a cosmic being. Life after life seems really possible, easy, knowable. So this is in the room today, this possibility, okay? First with the Yenchian story, and then we've told it different ways. And through the empowerment. Then there's a dissolving into pure, sometimes pure darkness, the luminous darkness, like the universe. Eyes open, everybody. This is an eye-opening, gazing experience. You're going to feel sometimes a little leaning forward. You're going to feel your genital center in the earth. Feel the support, energy arising. You feel the Sambhogakaya arising. Then you feel The light penetrates us. The light penetrates us. And when this is too concrete operationalized, it's on the wrong track. The light penetrates us. The light moves through and dissolves the cycle of existence. The light moves through and dissolves the cycle of existence here and now. Then you're free as you die to come back, or you're free to go into Sambhogakaya, into one of the heavenly domains with me, or you're free to go into the Dharmakaya. Eyes open if you don't mind. Everybody seeing somebody? Everybody gazing? Okay. We'll set this up a little better next time, okay? So if you've been looking at one person, shift around and look at someone else. The primordial guru is in all of us and it reveals itself through all of us, through us. The look of recognition is intrinsic to this. Yeah, we could shift your bodies around. You can move around. We're going to pause for a minute. And let's just see where everybody's at now. We're just going to pause for a second. We'll take a little break. Everybody got a microphone? And of course we have, in this, a lot of times people keep the experiences secret. Here we like articulating it, because in the articulation, is a further transmission, right? So why don't we just go down? I'm going to start here. You want to just describe your experience? We're just going to do it just briefly. And we'll see what's happening.
So at...
We're going to do it briefly, though, okay? Great.
Yeah. There were periods where all that existed were Jan's eyes.
Mm-hmm. What was that like, to experience that gaze in your body?
It was literally impossible to tell the difference between whether I was gazing at Jan or Jan was gazing at me.
And the oneness of the gaze?
And the immediacy of it.
Totally immediate.
And rather than it becoming more spacious, there was literally no space.
Great. Thank you. And Jan, you want to just a little brief description, if you don't mind?
I felt that the fierceness was sometimes a sort of almost like taking a stand to meet the gaze, as opposed to diving into the gaze, and sort of to meet it and hold it. And then that disappeared, and I felt that fearlessness that you talked about, and then that disappeared, and everything just kind of whited out.
Can you say what was happening in your body cells? What was happening in your, if you could feel that?
A lot of, so much light that at times there was almost like a stinging sensation.
Great. Let's pass it this way to this, and we'll hear the people in the middle first, then we'll go around. And articulation is really helpful for all of us.
Well, that was really intense for my heart. With the eyes open, and I'd had to close them and kind of assimilate it and then reopen. But it was interesting to feel that, and because it was like a timelessness with my eyes open. It was a timelessness that felt so foreign because I'm used to doing it with my eyes closed that I don't know, I just had to keep closing them and reopening them in order to
assimilate.
Yeah, both experiences.
So you're talking for yourself, and a lot of people here are now having to work a little bit more with our eyes open, okay, gazing into what's appearing. Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
And would you mind what happened for you?
Well, I love this. I mean, there's a definitely that fierce power of it. And with Elizabeth, what I felt that things shifted into kind of a light mosaic, like everything became the Tunga, and Elizabeth became golden light and dark light, just like light, but like a mosaic. But
Beautiful.
I don't know how. Just
Great. The word guru means from darkness to light in some traditions, which would be a dualistic, and actually in a non-dualistic way, it's guru. Darkness and light are one. Right? Elizabeth, is this okay with what we're doing? Everybody's okay with it? But you could still stay with your eyes open right now. It's like going beyond a habit again, you know? Yes, please, hon.
I also appreciate this practice tremendously. It, for me, it felt like it brought the experience of what you were talking about, meeting fire with fire, without conflict, without any
any
sense
ounce
of
of conflict.
It was, and the fearlessness. It felt like I went through various layers, and the first was this sort of shyness in my being, and then just as the energies really dissolved that within me, I felt more and more fearless, grounded, steady, and empowered to be in the beingness of being.
And what was happening to your solar plexus?
My solar plexus was relaxing, and and spaciousness came into my solar plexus.
Thank you so much. And Steve?
The ability to have fierceness, and fearlessness provided the context to take in that feeling that everything was overwhelming, that it was what you were talking about last week, about everything being so completely it's almost too much. And it gave it allowed me to experience that too muchness as more and more and more and more light, and tingling light, burning light.
Beautifully described. Marla?
Well, without my glasses, everything looks very amorphous anyway.
Non-dual look.
But that was a choice because I wanted to be able to see from this place. And I first was looking at Amy. And what started to come, I'm aware that sometimes I lose my body in this experience. Like it's more like I'm in light than I feel embodied.
That's fine. That is totally fine. That doesn't mean you're out of your body. It means your body's dissolving. There's a big difference, okay?
Yeah, and that whole conversation about nada, and I felt like I was allowing myself to be with that knowledge that's always there, that connection to galactic, whatever the word is.
Galactic point.
The galactic point, which, I'm kind of a scaredy cat. I'm afraid of everything. And so this whole conversation about, I was thinking, what would I say my life is, from worrier to warrior? So,
true
just like incorporating that in that moment, it felt very safe and at the same time expansive. And when you brought us back to the body at some point, what came to me was this sense of not like roots that are like a tree root, very solid, but more like roots that are actually light.
Beautifully described, hon.
Deep.
And when you say that I know you are not in an altered trance state where you were dissociated from your body. Because when you actually start materializing into corporeality again, you feel the rootedness of the subtle body of light. And you can feel the body of light more. Just even more, you can just feel the body of light in your skin, and being formed, which is totally cool.
And then when we shifted and I looked at Dan, then there was even more light. It was more about light than the person. And that was it. I had been at the ocean this weekend, and I had this experience of actually looking at the water and seeing the sense of dark and light that I've never seen before. It was like I could see the shadow and the light, just looking at the ocean expanse. And then it turned into sort of colors of very high spectrum. And it was just I was just sitting there, doing the Chogal sort of. And this was
perfectly beautiful.
And it was a similar experience with human beings today.
The Sahaj Samadhi, it's another language, is the natural path. It is totally natural.
And one more thought. I stumbled yesterday on the Museum of Meditation. I don't know if anybody's been to this in Silver Spring on Georgia Avenue. Really? Literally, I was going to pick up my car from the body shop, and a museum. Okay, I think I'll walk in. And it's this beautiful space that apparently was created by the Brahma Kumaris. Which
sure,
I don't know much about.
I know the Brahma Kumaris,
but they have this exhibit there It's on Georgia Avenue between Wayne and 410.
Yeah.
Near Dale Music, if people know what that is. Anyway, it's a sweet little spot, and they have this exhibit on the Copper Age, the Age of Meaning, which apparently is the last 2,000 years. And so they have all these relics from different religions and stuff. And then when you keep going into this little exhibit, they have these amazing digital photographs of light.
Oh, wow.
That are just I looked really close and I was trying to figure out what are these made out of, because they are just completely alive, and it's like a triptych of 9 paintings, 3 columns of 3 paintings or photographs, whatever they are. And it's like the sun with light coming, but just different colors of light coming from this pure light in the middle. And those images have just, the whole time you were talking, it just stayed with me.
They reflect.
And I just encourage people, if you happen to be in the neighborhood, to stumble in there. And it's quite lovely.
Beautifully said. We're going to pass it to Diana. We're all going to get a chance to talk. So we're going to make just a little short, just what's happening.
Sure. I was in the I didn't have an actual person. Okay. And then when it shifted, I couldn't tell if Juliet or Elizabeth, they were gazing in this direction, but I couldn't really tell if they were going past me or stopping. It was very unusual. And then I started looking at Lynn, and at the eyes as a sense organ, I was penetrating her eyes, and then I decided to kind of do a meet her halfway.
Halfway, okay.
Halfway. And that was just exquisite, because it took away that sense of either over-penetrating,
right,
doing kind of a, I don't know what you would call that, kind of an aggressive but not an expansive quality to it. And when it pulled back, it was just, I could stay with it a long time.
There's another way of it. It's actually halfway. It's really great. Yeah. Thank you for describing that.
When I tapped Diane on the leg and sort of asked her if she would turn around, basically, toward the end of this, and what I was most aware of was feeling a sturdiness, I guess I would say, in my body, and well, I guess it's fierceness. Which is not something I feel all that often. So that was interesting. And also the just much more connected to my lower chakras, and in a way that also is not something I always feel. So it was really interesting.
Great. Thank you so much. Patricia?
I'm going to pass it on right now.
Okay. Steve?
At first when I was staring into the faces, Rudy and Juliet, and I'm sorry I don't know your name, Elizabeth, at first it was, I just saw the face, but then it started to dissolve, and what it turned into for me was almost a Picasso painting,
Mhm.
if you will, where there's a large eye and the other eye is kind of drooling down, and then the face is turned into kind of the geometries, and then everything just started to get very hazy and golden. And then when you had a switch, Juliet looked at me, and at first I had to get past kind of this wanting to kind of smirk and kind of like, haha, you're looking at me kind of thing. And then, but then it was like there was that very strong just power there that it didn't feel fierce to me, because I think fierceness to me is more, I associate with anger and kind of this fighting rage sort of thing. But it was just this very strong, right there. There was nothing else to it. It was pure and sharp and like a knife. So yeah, that was.
Thank you. And then we'll go to, we'll come back to Juliet, and we'll go down the road. What everybody to share today was having.
I don't know. It's very hard for me to tell what I experienced. I'm still going through the empowerment, and I have waves of energy. So I just have more and more waves of energy going through, and it's all in the throat. As I was gazing, I noticed the throat opening up even more and more. So.
Cool. Thank you. We're going to pass it to Dawn. Let's go Dawn, then we'll do Juliet, and then we go to everybody else.
There wasn't anyone in particular whose eyes I was gazing at. So I was gazing at Mary, then I was gazing at Amma.
That's great.
And then I suddenly was looking at Mary and Lorette. I suddenly realized that there was a certain shyness in gazing at the two of them when they were gazing somewhere else. But then suddenly there was such strength coming from the two of them. And I felt much stronger than just gazing at the picture. And they were giving out so much light and so much fierceness that I felt much more stronger and filled with light by looking at them. And it was neat. It was
Perfecto.
great.
Perfect. Thank you.
That's a picture. These are people.
People.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm going to pass it to Juliet, and then we'll pass it down to Leslie. But I'd like everybody just to do this really, just a little, just to bring everybody what's happening.
I love this practice too. I mean, I gaze a lot at home, but there's no person there. My dogs maybe, but not a person. And it's just, for me, this was just extraordinary. And I experienced so much of what everybody has spoken about, but there was a point at which this fearlessness and fierceness all of a sudden completely shifted. And I was very much aware of being connected in the earth, but it was almost like my entire body just dissolved into the light, into the earth, and into everybody in this room. So even though I might have been gazing at Michelle and then Steve and then Carol, it was if everybody was included in that gaze, and there was no separation. It was just oneness.
Perfectly. Thank you so much. I'm going to pass it to Lorette. And we're all staying in awareness as people talk, because it really helps to hear them in that. Then it opens it up for us.
My experience was that as I moved from Jan to Dawn to Heidi, that there was a growing sense of in more physicality in the embodiment of the energy and the fierceness, so that I just became more planted or more rounded, or well, it's hard to know what the words are. And the fierceness was such a pleasure to look at someone, and I couldn't tell who was looking back at me because I didn't have my glasses, and but it was not at all important. It was the making contact and the holding it and being present to that moment and deciding over and over and over again to be in that and to hold that, and the total lack of fear and the fierceness and that piece you said about Yanshin, you sort of have to show up that way, and then nothing is overwhelming. Yes. Was really a sensate reality while I was doing that.
Beautifully described. Thank you. And next person.
I was gazing at Jan and then at Amy, both of who were looking at someone else. But I just felt that sort of fierceness of showing up meeting the energy of the other. And over time, there would just be sort of a dissolution of self and of other, just sort of this fading between. It's very sweet.
Very like the fourth vision, everything starts just to dissolve. Thank you.
I was looking at Mimi. I was kind of struck by how fast it just kind of took off, like the engagement, the light around her head, and then different parts of her face, and I don't know, just a strong sense of pleasure, beauty, female, male, and I could feel everything at many different levels, just the concreteness in the space and the light, and it was fun.
Beautifully described. Thank you.
Initially, I was started with holding the group gaze, and then what I saw was, I've seen this in pictures of Christ where the heart is a fire, and what I saw was individual fires above each person's head in the group, and that was so incredible. And at that point, as I was holding that, then it turned into a group fire. That was super cool. And it's like the room was ablaze, And then I did an individual gaze with Skip, although he wasn't looking at me. I was gazing him. And there was an initial uncomfortableness that I always feel with intimacy. And as I continued the gaze, that uncomfortableness dissolved into like a sphere of energy and light between us.
That is really cool. I'm very happy for you. Beautiful description. Thank you.
The most interesting part of my experience was because last week when I was going through the Dantian, I got so much fire. I kind of went there again, and I did the lion pose, and I could just feel my own fierceness, and I love that. But instead of, I didn't want to just sit with me, so I just kind of extended it out. And I said, everybody else has the same stuff inside them, and the whole room just turned to gold. It wasn't a golden light. It was a physical quality of molten gold, and like it was flowing. And the bottom half of Steve's body disappeared, and the upper part was, you could see it moving around, and you couldn't tell the foreground from the background because it was this delicious molten gold, kind of a half Sambhogakaya, half Nirmanakaya experience of them, kind of they're both molten together.
Thank you. In fact, we do have Nirmanakaya, Sambhogakaya. I mean, as you know that, there are these mixtures that they come through, as I've read in some of those texts. Yes, thank you so much. Beautifully described. Next person.
I was just gazing across at Elizabeth, who was gazing at somebody else, but she was just in my gaze. And I just felt so planted, so present, so strong. And what I'm experiencing now is just energy in the thighs, just very strong earth thigh energy.
Great. That's opening up for more and more people now. This center here. Great.
This is like so much fun for me. I love this. And so I was gazing at Dan, and let's see, we started out with the group, the four dakinis gazing, and then connecting to that gaze, and it was just so powerful. And then you were like, okay, we'll get into a position. I get into the lion position, and this is I think I have felt it before, but wow, did I feel the energy from the lion position. What a great position. And I just felt all those surges. So and then I was staring to the side of this Tanka here, who I can't remember who this is, the fierce dark mother here, I guess. And I just felt all these surges of energy and just phenomenal power. And then it was staring.
That tongue is Ekajaki.
Ekajaki.
And she's the protector of the Dzogchen tradition.
Yeah, well,
She's
and
tough.
I wasn't at her, but it was like on the edge of it.
Mm-hmm,
But it was like, I don't know if I was getting whatever. But and then I shifted my gaze to Dan's eyes, and then it was like there was even more fierceness that was coming up, more power, and it was working. It was almost like the Trekal of Togal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, feeling the leap, but then there was like the passing through that, and then leaping more, and then the gaze with Dan. His face started going. It's like his eyes became big and huge, and then all this white light came up, and he became white light, and then it became two Dans. And to hold the two Dans, it was just holding the Dans. But it was like, but then there was still the surging of the energy coming up. So it was a very, like, I think, Namanikaya experience, yet maybe Namanikaya of Sambhogakaya? I don't know. And holding that with the energy and the fierceness. It was just incredible, powerful fierceness, and I just, and lots of fire and grounding.
Great, thank you so much. And of course, as we know, the Namanikaya, Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya definitions depend on all sorts of things. Who's saying it, what tradition, which it's just it's a floating metaphor. Okay, yes. Next person.
Having had that empowerment on Saturday was such an incredible experience. I want to thank you for letting us all know about it. It was, I too had that feeling with the, as soon as I heard the words, the fifth kaya, I was going, fifth kaya? What is that? And then there was a moment where I was sort of an ordinary reality. I should explain the first, I think, 4 empowerments were the traditional kind of, there's chanting and, hitting the little instruments. And right, and then you drink the juice, all the things that everybody here has done. And it was so beautiful and mysterious because what Rinpoche did at the 5th one was he just kind of announced it. And then there was silence. That's all I remember was just silence. And there was a part of my mind that was wondering, and when do we get, And then I kind of, my experience caught up with my mind, or my mind caught up with my experience, and I realized this is what this is. And I just kind of, I had that wonderful sensation where I still don't think my mind is caught up to it, but that wonderful sensation of the gate, gate, let's go beyond the ritual, let's go beyond the empowerment even, we're just there. And it was so wonderful when I don't even think we drank anything at the end, it was just basically, poof, there you are. And it was such a fantastic moment. And as we were talking about it, I think I must have been integrating the energy of it because I got back there at the same time. So it was wonderful to be able to sit here. And I didn't engage in the gazing the way that most people were doing with the eyes, partly because of where I was situated, but also because I was in a different space. I've been working with the opening up my vision to the peripheral. So I just opened it up a little bit more because it felt like I couldn't actually single any one person or thing out. I just opened up my vision through the periphery and then all the way to the back of my head and the back of my body. And the only way I can describe it is to say that I was gazing through the back of my body. So I felt like I was connected with everybody here, with every being, with all the pictures, all the, it just was at the same time very extraordinary and also very ordinary in a funny kind of way. And I could feel a lot of energy coming through, but it also felt very grounded. It's sort of as if I could feel the nada point and the galactic nature of it, but I don't quite know how to say this. It wasn't like I was anything special. It was a place where it was located.
Beautifully said.
Right. But it was also me.
Yeah, I am the place where it's located.
Yeah, and it was local and non-local at the same
time.
But I was also very aware of being in my body, even though the sensation of being in my body was altered. So it was not. I appreciated what you said earlier, Rudy, about not the dissociation part of feeling like you're not in your body, but in a way where it's, I would use the word expanded awareness of what's in your body, because that's what it felt like. I never lost contact with the reality.
Thank you so much. Beautifully described. You look great.
So, greetings from Europe.
Back. Oh, you've made it back. Good. All the smoke. Yeah.
So So landed 4 hours before the airport closed in Finland on one day last week, and then it was suddenly again closed today and tomorrow. It was open for 3 hours.
Oh, cool.
On Monday, I was shopping downtown Helsinki. My uncle calls, "Hey, there's one flight out of Finland. It's to New York." So we had a splits operation with my 79-year-old uncle. And so this whole element of fire and ashes has been very close to me in the past week. And the power, all those eruptions and, the energy coming up. So today I found it very useful to actually kind of practice being indestructible, on demand, or at will, as you asked us, kind of. And when I was gazing kind of with fierce, kind of as a warrior to Lorette, it was actually very challenging for me to hold the power and kind of hold the intimacy of the gaze with my own power and her power meeting. And there was this temptation all the time to run away from it and kind of acknowledging the power is here and it's mine and it's hers and we have it. It doesn't have to be destructive. It was very useful. Thank you.
Beautifully described. And I'm just going to make one comment as we're ending up. And just from last week, when we spoke about the givenness is given to us, and we're receptive to what's being given. And our side, the circle is then we hold what's been given and we manifest it as our own self. So the manifestation of it is not easy, but it's sort of like part of the deal, part of the completion of the circle. There was a great anthropologist about gift giving, symbolic person. No, this was a guy, French. Well, it's all about gift giving. It holds cultures together. But you take it even into this whole of the gift that's been given is the manifestation of it. Thank you, guys. See you all next week. Hasta la vista. Yep, please. You can talk at the microphone, huh?
So I think almost everybody is on the listserv, and some people have said that they're not Some people have said that they're not getting emails. If you are not, I will send out something today. So look for it in your inbox. If you do not receive something, contact me and I'll make sure that you get on. Or if you've changed your email address, that might be why.